Well, hello everyone. It's Rosetta here, your certified health coach, educator, and speaker. And I'm coming to you today with another Conversations with Rosetta. And I'm so happy to be introducing you to a lovely lady called Mari-Lyn Harris. And before we get going, thank you everyone so much for joining us today. And if you are a returning subscriber, I love your support. And if you're new, welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, we're going to dive right in with Mari-Lyn Harris. And she is having conversations with me today.
Mm,
And the reason why I have brought her on is because of what she does. And I believe it is so needed into today's society. And Mari-Lyn Harris her business is called Heart at Work, and she is an end of life doula. Now, let's just let that sink in for a minute. End of life doula. You're probably thinking, what the heck is that? Right? I'm sure some of you have heard the term doula. Probably during, you may have had one when you gave birth to your child, or you know of people that are doulas, or you know other families have had doulas during your time when you're bringing in a precious baby into the world. And doulas are people that help you, guide you through that the the time when you're delivering your baby. But I want Mari-Lyn to talk about exactly what is a doula in terms of end of life doula, and what
mm.
is it that you actually do, and why is it so needed? Because I know that a lot of families would need her services, but they just don't know they need it until you know exactly what they do. You're like, well, why would I need one? And this is why Mari-Lyn is here to explain to you. So, Mari-Lyn, why don't you take it away and talk about what an end of life doula is?
Okay. Well, basically, an end of life doula is on the other end of birth is to assist you and guide you to have a holistic, peaceful death. Um, so, as a end of life doula, I do much more than just that. But doula is a non-medical guide, if you will, to help you transition over. And when death, nobody wants to talk about death because oh, I'm not going to die or whatever. But it's the end of life doula is really driven by the boomer market, the baby boomers, because there are over 78 million retiring right now. And out of those retirees, they probably have never considered how do they want to die. And to me, it's about celebrating that death, just like you celebrate a birth, that's a new arrival. So why not celebrate? This way you have a choice of how you want to be celebrated. And at the same time, I work with people to help them develop their legacy. What is their legacy? What do they want to be known for or want to leave behind for their families and their loved ones? So we're a
That's great.
non-medical, which means we don't prescribe any drugs. We don't give drugs. We are just there spiritually and holistically for that person or family.
Yeah, so let people know, like, why would someone be using your services? Like, when would someone think, okay, I need to use Mari-Lyn's services? In what situations? And like day-to-day things, what can you do for the families? And what is
Mhm.
it that you actually do? Just, share a
Yeah.
little of your descriptions of things that you can do and what you do, and your experience of how you became a doula.
Yeah, that's a big loaded question. I'm going like, oh my gosh. So really, I like to work with people who are about to retire. And the reason I say that is because there's so much paperwork that needs to be done, like your living will, your trust. I don't help, I just help people get the information. So if they don't have anybody, I can refer them on to other people beyond my expertise. But basically, I work with people to at that point so that they are now thinking about, okay, what's next? And as a matter of fact, there's a film coming out that I'm co-promoting, and it's called The Boomer Dilemma. So I can give you more information about that later. But really, it's just helping people discover what kind of paper, what loose ends they have. So my tagline is basically people are dying with loose ends. And that is only because my experience, I helped a friend from the time that he was diagnosed with his disease until he took his last breath. So I was with him that whole time. And so that there's so much stuff in there I had to learn on my own. And as a matter of fact, we didn't get his will done until the day before he died. And he says, well, why do I need a will? And I'm like, well, because my power attorney affairs end when you die. And I can't help you after that. You're on your own, and so, and he doesn't, when you're gone, you don't really care, right? Because you're not going to be paying attention. So that was that. And then from there, I just, hey, well, you can't go yet because I don't have all this information. And he just said to me, MariLyn, you're a smart cookie. You'll figure it out. It'll be like an Easter egg hunt. And that it was. So I call that a mess. so, so anyway, it's really, getting people to make sure they have their paperwork in order. It's just like if they do a trust for their possessions and for their family, there's paperwork in between that it needs to be done as well. So I work with people in that end, and then to the very end, hopefully they decide they want to continue on working with me. And if they do, that's great. And if they don't, that's okay too. And then at the end, I have other end of life services, like helping them write up their obituary, make their funeral arrangements, sit with them and help their family, give their family caregivers a break, help people. When there is a death, there's so much stuff that pops up. And if you've never experienced a death amongst a family member, there is regret, there is forgiveness to do, there's all this other emotional stuff that needs to be worked with family members. Or if they don't have any family members, then they're more likely to have somebody like myself, an end-of-life doula, to stay with them, to help them and guide them, and just give support and be a friend to that person as they're about to make the transition.
And I think that's really important. And what MariLyn missed out is the fact that I have had a family member that has passed away, and a lot of times families are not all lovey-dovey and everything goes smoothly. There are things that happen within the family, like a lot of past regrets, a lot of animosity can come from that. And we know if we have large families, that's just by default that happens, right?
Mhm.
And things that have not been said or held against the person that is passing away. And I think that what MariLyn does is a really great service, because she is like the friend or the person that has no bias, is neutral, and will help bridge that gap between the family and the loved one who is passing over, and to try and see if they can come to some kind of say what they need to say and help them. Because a lot of times we are in this situation where we have a loved one and we're so deep into it, we can't see outside in. And for someone like MariLyn can facilitate that and really push things forward. And it's basically like a good friend who is telling you things you need to do, or like a coach. I call you a coach because I myself, as a health coach, what really coaches do is we help families and people do things that they normally wouldn't do to get out of their comfort zone, and things that need to get done to make things happen that should happen. So what you do is a really, really great service. And what is it that people need to be aware of, and how would they contact you? Do you offer free consultation so that they can talk to you? Because I know a lot of people are hesitant about contacting someone they don't know. So it'd
Right.
be nice if they could have like a consultation just to chit chat with you and to get to know you. So do you offer that?
Yeah, sure. I give 30-minute, half hour consults, calls if they want to call me. I have a booking agent. They can just book a link and book a time, and we could talk about those type of things. So whatever the questions they have, there are a lot of considerations, and some of the things that you said, Rosetta, was so true. Like you have a family and you have all their other people, everybody in that family has their considerations, but there's a lot of words that are unsaid, a lot of forgiveness that needs to be done and has to be let go. I have to, tell everybody in that family situation, just so that they brings the whole family back together again. And, you know, my role is really to focus on the patient or the client that is there. So if somebody wants to talk to me about it, yes, absolutely. Let's get on the phone. I'll happy to answer any of your questions you have or anything else. And if I don't know, and I know somebody else can help you better, then I will refer you out to somebody else that you can talk to as well.
Yeah, and during the last like months or whatever of someone's life, I think that MariLyn can come as a real confidant, I think,
Yeah.
because you are neutral and you don't have any biases, like I said before, but
Mhm.
you're really there for the person that is soon to be passing, but for the
Right,
family as well, to make it a peaceful
right.
transition, right? Very
Mhm.
peaceful. We want things to be ironed out and straightened out. Sometimes it may not be
Yeah,
able to be done, but with MariLyn's help, hopefully that things will be, things can be smoothed out and have a much better transition, because I know that it can it's really stressful
yeah,
time on the person passing, because they don't want to leave burden to the families that are
family.
living, right? But
Yeah,
then the families that are living are like, there they are, maybe quabbling over some stuff and they don't know how to resolve it.
right,
So
right.
I think that when MariLyn told me that this is what she's doing, I thought that was really, really important that we get it out there,
Mhm.
because I've never heard of an end of life doula. I mean,
Yeah,
I've heard of lawyers that do
yeah,
wills and trusts, but that's
yeah,
not anything like
no,
what you do, because they don't really do that kind of you're like you bridge that gap between the
mhm,
person transitioning and the family to get them closer, and you also deal with the emotional side of it. Lawyers don't do that. You could have a friend to help you if you know, but then
yeah,
the but then friends, they know so much, they don't
right,
know about the legal stuff like you do, like the
right.
wills and trusts and everything that you need to get in order
Mhm,
before the person transitions.
mhm.
So earlier you said that it's a good time to think about this when you're like um months before, probably before
Yeah,
anything serious happens, or before before you're
yeah,
transitioning. Maybe this is something you might want to think about. And I
right,
think it's a good thing to, even if you have no illness and you want to have a good, end of life transition, maybe talk to MariLyn and see what she can do, and maybe you can use her when the time comes, because then she'll know exactly what your wishes are.
right,
Isn't that a
right.
good, I think that's a good idea, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's also pre-care planning, and I don't mean insurance. I mean, there are paperwork that you want to make sure that you signed off on and put together to help assist. You know, like I also work with hospice people, other medical professions. So we're like sort of like their communication bridge, if you will, because we can be the eyes and boots on with that person and be able to transfer that information to hospice as well. And that's the other thing I would say too, that people wait too long to get onto hospice. And so as soon as they're diagnosed, they usually just need a doctor's recommendation and they can get on hospice. So it doesn't mean you have to be there forever. You know, maybe you just need some medical support for a little while and maybe you get off. But most of the people that get their diagnosis of terminal illness, um, they should get on hospice right away as soon as possible, because they can help direct. They know what you need, what you'll need, and they work with you and help you so that you can do that too. So yeah, right, Rosetta.
Yeah,
There's so
thank
much.
you for mentioning that.
There's so much that there is involved in the process. So yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you for mentioning about the hospice, because you're right. A lot of people associate hospice with like the last month, or the right
Yeah,
before they transition, right? But
right,
you're saying don't wait till that time. You can go into hospice much, much earlier on, even before the doctors tell you need to go to hospice, because hospice is associated with death, right? And they think,
right.
oh,
Yeah,
I'm only going to go to hospice if I'm like on my death door, right?
yeah,
Say. But no,
yeah.
you can go to hospice much earlier and they will help you, and you can actually recover during hospice, right? If I'm
Hmm.
correct, right,
Yeah,
MariLyn? And then
yeah,
you can leave hospice.
right.
So tell me what the difference is between, let's say, if you have an illness, what is the difference between hospice and a nursing home then?
Well, hospice is a medical service that is paid for by your most medical plans cover hospice. Assisted living, is that what kind of you're asking about?
More like not
Long-term care?
assisted, but more like nursing home where they come in every day and they give you a medication and they do
Mm.
things medically. What would be the difference?
Well, in hospice, most of the time you're still at home. You don't have to go to long-term care facility. You don't have to go to the hospital. Right now, the baby boomers do not want to have their end of life in a hospital or long-term care. They want to be at home. So a hospice will come and visit maybe once or twice a week, if that, but they'll be able to assist you. And then you would have somebody like myself or other caregivers on site at your home to help you. But the idea of going, um, so hospice is a medical service, and they work with long-term care facilities. They work with end of life people like myself, or they'll work with you if you're at home, that you want to be at home and be with your family. So, hospice is just a medical team. So they kind of like the representative of the doctors of the hospital. And then they have their caseload. And then as the end of doula, we step in under them, if you will, and just help guide the patient, because we really work for the patient and the family. And so because we're non-medical, we get paid by the family, and the hospice gets paid by the medical system.
Yeah, thank you for clearing that up. I think
Does that
it's
make sense?
yes, it does.
Yeah.
It makes a lot
Okay.
of sense. And thank you for clearing that up because I think it's really important to understand that. So, hospice is, it can be in a facility or it can be at home. That's the
Mhm.
difference. A nursing home is basically a facility that
Yeah.
you take your loved ones to, and that's where they have all the medical attention.
Yeah. Right.
So, hospice is not as, you get to choose, right? Whether you want it
Right.
in a facility or at home. And I think that's really good. And for any doctors out there watching this, conversation, or anyone
Mhm.
thinking in a hospital or anything, it would be great to have MariLyn's information, just so that if they have clients who have loved ones, they might want to recommend MariLyn. I think that's really good because
Yeah.
I don't know, like now that you're in this field, MariLyn, and you've been doing it for a bit, um, do you have people like contacting you, doctors and things? I mean, what is the I want to say
Mm.
how many people are there out there like you that do this?
There's more and more people being trained to do it. And I've taken some courses and I'm certified now. But there's more and more people coming on board. But obviously, we have a real caregiver and a doula and all these people that assist in care. There is a real shortage of us. And because there's more people um, at the end of their life than there are, you know, probably at the beginning, I guess they're being born as well. But as far as the end of life goes, is that there's probably a real shortage of staff, of people. So you have to rely on your friends and family and who can help you, assist you. Like just like when my friend died, the hospice says, well, okay, MariLyn, he doesn't want to go to the hospital. So I guess you're it. And do you have any of his friends that could come and help you? And like, no, I don't know. And it was funny because, after he passed and we were doing his services, his funeral services, there wasn't really a service, it's just spreading his ashes. There was a couple of people who said, how come you're doing this and we weren't? And I said, well, if you knew his situation, why didn't you call him? Like, I didn't have your number, how would I know? And so there's a lot of that kind of stuff too, right? So how I get clients is by referral. I have another gal I look after occasionally, and it was through a referral for a friend of mine. So that's basically how I get my businesses, through referral. So the more people I know, and just due to COVID, we're not really able to go into long-term care facilities or hospitals yet, because the hospice is barely able to get into those hospitals and long-term care facilities. So yeah, so I guess, really until the COVID kind of blows over, we'll just be dealing with people that are, want to be at home, and we assist them in that way.
Oh, I think that's wonderful. I think that's fantastic, actually.
Yeah.
And as you said, like the man that you helped, he didn't know what he didn't know. That's why
Yeah.
she couldn't contact anyone, because there was nothing set in place, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So, and I'm thinking like, yes, there are a lot of people that have things set in place, but there are a lot of people that don't. And
Yeah.
especially for the man that you helped, he didn't have close family, right?
Right. Yeah.
So he really couldn't rely on anyone. And had he had put that into place, but I think that was a great for you, I believe, that was,
Hmm.
being someone like a doula and a coach is great because you learn from your experiences.
Right. Right.
And I love the fact that you were actually in the midst of this and you were doing this on a day-to-day basis and helping this person out.
Hmm.
And that's really what inspired you to want to help other people. And I really
Right.
love that, because this is an area that more families and individuals need help on.
Hmm.
And now we know, and MariLyn is actually in the
Yeah.
Bay Area.
Hmm.
And can you tell people, like, if people are interested in using your services,
Hmm.
if they're outside of the state, could they use you? Or how
Yeah.
far is your radius of travel?
Yeah. I was just thinking I should be the traveling doula.
Now, I like that idea. You should do that. That would be
And
really great.
yeah, but basically I can help anybody because we're doing a lot of phone work, teledoula or on Zoom or that type of thing. We can help families in that regard. Have Zoom calls with people if they're not close by. Obviously, being in person is always better. But until that happens or until people feel comfortable having other people in their home, that's just kind of what it is.
Right.
So
And then how
yeah.
far do you, like, if they want you in person, let's say they're like, no, I gotta have you in person. I don't like the Zooms, I don't like the virtuals.
Yeah.
Like, how, I guess it's on case to case basis, right? How
Yeah.
far you would travel, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like it would also depend. Like, right now I could probably say I could travel 25 miles, but I'm open to any opportunity really, because it's to me it's a service that it calls you to do this service. It's not something you jump in and say, "Hey, I'm going to do that." It's something that calls you to say, "Do more, let's do more of this.
Yeah,
How
I
can I
love
be
it.
of service today to somebody else?" And so, like you were saying, Rosetta, it's really case by case basis. But I think, for right now, I could say I could travel 25 miles and, that be it for right now. But I am thinking of figuring out a way how to be the traveling doula.
That would be, I think that would be great. I
Yeah.
can see you, Marilyn, with the little minivan,
Yeah.
traveling dual trap, or you will name it something,
Yeah.
something where you would go around and you would travel and you would, that would be good. That would
Yeah.
be great. I think that because your service is really needed,
Yeah.
and I really
Thank
love
you.
it. So I
Yeah.
want to thank you for your services and for doing this. And do
Yes.
you
Thank you,
have,
Rosetta.
yeah, you're welcome. And do you have any last things you'd like to say for people?
Yeah, sure. If I could. Another gal and I are, she's the producer of the film, and it's called Baby Boomer Dilemma. It's about people when they're retiring, have they thought about how they're going to retire? And it's called exposing the boomer retirement rules we've been taught, right? About how to retire and what we're going to need to do. And because there's just a shortage of staff and people to support us in the dying, and there's much more people dying, like I said. And when I talk about doing a will and stuff, you don't have to wait till you retire. But the idea is by the time you retire, you should have everything in place. Because we just never know when our number is up, right? So even the younger kids are already doing their wills already because they see from the COVID and their parents and their families that they're saying, okay, I'm going to start writing my stuff out. And it's a living document. So I guess for me, if anything, start writing things down. If anybody's interested, I've written a book called The Legacy Planner. Just let me know that you'd like to have a copy of it and I'll send it out to you.
Yeah, and we will
So,
put all of
yeah.
MariLyn's information in the description below, and
Hmm.
the documentary that you talked about. So you
Yeah.
can get all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's
Yeah.
really important. So thank you very much for Rosetta for sharing my story and having me on your show. It's so appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, MariLyn. And
Okay.
again, MariLyn Harris. She is the end of life doula. And if you'd like more information, please check the description below. And I'm interested to watch that documentary as well because it
Mhm,
sounds very interesting.
mhm.
And again, MariLyn is open to complimentary consults. So if you're
Mhm.
someone that's not sure and just wants to talk to her, then she'd be more than happy to do that. But thank you, everyone. And thank
Okay.
you for watching my conversations with Rosetta. Don't forget, if you liked the information here and want more of Conversations with Rosetta, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit that bell notification, and you'll be notified when you can watch the videos. But I'm Rosetta, certified health coach and educator at Simply Health. Your health matters. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye. Thank
you.
you,
Bye-bye.
MariLyn.